Looking for warriors, I want to go out to kids that are growing up, because a lot of this is me talking to myself of 25 years ago, let's say, leaving school, being lost, being overwhelmed, being scared of the future. Hey, how are you doing? It's Alan here from Looking for Warriors, and I want to talk about Scott Adams' book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. Very, very long title, but I think it's required. Another part of the title is basically the story of my life or something like that. Anyway, Scott Adams, great guy. Now, there's two chapters that really stood out for me. The chapters are really short. Like, a chapter can be a page in this book, and it's so easy to read. I read it with my kids. One was 13, one was 10 last night, and they read it. They could read it and they enjoyed it. So that's how simple the writing is. It's simple, but deceptively simple. It's really deep concepts held in this book. So the writing is deceptively simple, almost as simple as a Dilbert comic. Not quite, but almost as simple as a Dilbert comic. But just like a Dilbert comic, there's actually some very deep concepts hidden inside the simple writing. Now, two really important chapters. One is deciding versus wanting, and the other one is the selfishness illusion. I'm going to call them chapters. It's maybe just a title at the top of the page with a page of writing, but I'm going to call them chapters. Now, I want to talk about deciding versus wanting. This is so important. This is so important because we all want things. We all want things. And looking for warriors, I want to go out to kids that are growing up, because a lot of this is me talking to myself of 25 years ago, let's say, leaving school, being lost, being overwhelmed, being scared of the future, and thinking, hey, I didn't do good in exams. What's the rest of my life? What is for me for the rest of my life? How do I become successful? And Scott Adams is a great example, because he's someone who has become very successful. And if you read this book, through incredible difficulty. So he is a lot more successful than me and has gone through much worse difficulty. So it's a great example. It's a really great example. And we've all been through difficulty. I've been through difficulty too, and everyone's been through difficulty. But from reading this book, the difficulties Scott Adams has gone through have been way beyond most other people. And all his difficulties seem to have been barriers put in the way of his actual success that he had to get over. I'm not going to go into each one, but we're going to talk about deciding versus wanting. It's so important. We all want things. What Scott Adams says is the difference between deciding and wanting is when you decide, you work out what the price is for what you want and you go for it. And that is so important. What's the price? Because there's always going to be a price. It's always going to be a price. Everything is going to be difficult. Your life is going to be difficult. You're going to have difficulties. If you want to be fit, you're going to have to run or do some kind of exercise, which is going to be difficult in the moment. If you want to lose weight, you're going to have to change what you're eating, which is going to be difficult in the moment. There's always a price. And I've paid a price for a success that's been much less than what Scott Adams has achieved. And even during the process, because I see myself as being part of the process just like you, whereas Scott Adams is at the end of the process, but I see myself as being in the process right now. And if you read Think and Grow Rich, I'll go back to Think and Grow Rich really quickly. He says that most men are most successful between the ages of 40 and 60, which I was very happy to hear, by the way. Most men are most successful between the ages of 40 and 60 because they've learned to control their sexual energy and transmute their sexual energy. And so being at the start of that age group, I imagine that I see myself as being part of this process, just like you. If you're in the Scott Adams's area and you've already achieved everything you want, well, maybe you shouldn't be watching these. Maybe you should be watch Scott Adams's lives. So Just for people like me who are in the process. And when you decide, you work out what the price is. And I'm paying the price right now, just like everyone else. The price may be a little bit less time with my kids, which breaks my heart, because particularly the thing about kids is they're only small for a certain amount of time. They're only small for a certain amount of time. And I try to spend as much time as possible with them. I make sure that I always put them to bed, so at least I have that few minutes. And I try to read them a story before bed as well, so I have that time as well. But it's difficult when you're in the process and you're building. You're going to have to work. And this fits in with the selfishness illusion chapter right after the deciding versus wanting, because part of it is also being selfish towards doing the things that you have to do to get to where you want to get to. And that can be difficult, and it can feel very, very selfish, whether it's spending less time with your kids sometimes, which is absolutely heartbreaking, particularly for me, or not doing things in the house that you should be doing, which I feel like I have to do all the time. I am the sort of person, I'm going to say it, I am the sort of person who feels like I'm the only one who knows how to fill the dishwasher properly, where everything gets washed evenly. And I feel like, yeah, I should be doing it. And if someone else does it, I want to rearrange everything. So I've got to stop myself doing that a little bit. I'm the sort of person who, when I work, I want to work in a clean area. So I need to spend an hour or two cleaning the area I want to work in before I work. And there's a balance there. This is deciding versus wanting. What's the price? I'm the sort of person who, for a long time, I worked really, really hard when I set up my business. Every day, every night, and I felt like I didn't have time for exercise. And I found out later on that was a huge mistake, because I was getting all kind of medical problems, which I wouldn't have had if I took the time to exercise. And Scott Adams talks a lot about that in the exercise chapter. But it's deciding versus wanting. Once you decide, wanting is a state of not having. But deciding is a case of already having the thing and just seeing the items that you have to go through in order to get there. But your internal state is having. I've decided this. I already have it. Which is really, really important. And it's also, you look at the price. And the issue is, and if you read this book, the Scott Adams book, you're going to find out the obstacles that were put in his way by the universe to get to where he needed to get to. And obstacles will be put in your way too. Huge obstacles. And the stronger you are, the bigger obstacles you're going to get. Because the universe is going to give you obstacles that push you to the edge of what you can deal with. So it's deciding versus wanting. This is the most important chapter to me. Deciding versus wanting. When you have decided that this is something you're doing, whether it's a side project, whether it's in the current role you're currently in, whether you've left school, you have to make a decision like that. I'm doing this. It's going to be difficult. I am going to have to spend less time partying. I'm going to have to spend less time with my family. I'm going to have to spend less time doing this and this and this other things that I want to do. Maybe I can't load the dishwasher the way I want to every time. Maybe I have to wait 2 weeks to clean my office instead of doing it every couple of days. And there's going to be more to clean then. But whatever, and these are the simplest things. You know, Scott Adams himself had huge medical problems. And I know about this because my own brother had huge medical problems. And he was strong enough to overcome them. He's probably the only person who's had a stroke with 1% chance of survival and has come through it to the other side. And I know he got that because he was stronger than me, because I couldn't have gone through that. I just know I couldn't have gone through that to the end. And so we will be given challenges. So we've got to work out, what's the price and am I willing to pay it? And not even am I willing to pay it, but what's the price and how do I start paying it now? Because it is pay me now or pay me later. And if you want it, you've got to know the price and go through it. You look at anyone who's been successful in what they've done. You look at David Icke, who was a laughingstock in England for a long, long time. I remember seeing him on the TV when I was a kid, on the Wogan show, and thinking, well, what's so bad about him? What's so bad about him? Same as the absolute hatred that went towards Trump. And, I certainly never thought politics is a solution to anything. And I didn't know that much about Trump, but I had the same thought. What's so bad about him? Why do people hate him? I don't get it. I really don't get it. And so I think it's important for us not to have that hate in our heart for anyone, but work out the price. And the price has been more difficult for some people than for others. But work out the price of what you want and then pay it and move forward. So this is in this book. Once you decide, check out the chapter on deciding versus wanting. You'll read it in 5 minutes, but it's really, really, really important. Once you decide that you're willing to pay the price. But if you just want something, then you don't start paying the price. You don't start paying the price. And the price might be just impatience, in working hard every day and seeming like you're getting no return for a long, long, long time. That may be the price. But once you decide you're doing something, then you work out the price and you start paying it. So it's been Alan here from Looking for Warriors, talking about Scott Adams' book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big.